going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of You Never Freaking Played podcast with Q. I'm your host, Rich Quinones, and we're going to talk a little hoops. We're going to talk about giving back to the community and really just young entrepreneurs doing good in their endeavors. And Reese Wood is one of them, and he's kind enough to join me for a couple moments. And I appreciate it, my friend. I know you are a hoop lifer. And I'm excited to get you on for a couple minutes and talk about what you've been doing, but appreciate a couple moments of your time.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So I know you're a Philly guy. You played high school ball in Philly, right?
Yes.
So I got to ask you, you had a lot of success in Philadelphia. We know about the Northeast. We know about South Philly. We know about all the hoopers in Philly. Was basketball a sport that you predominantly gravitated towards when you were younger?
Yeah, it's funny. When I was a kid, I did basketball, football, and baseball. I was kind of like an athlete. And to be honest with you, I kind of sort of like football the most. But then there was one summer, like I got tall and I was just like, you know what, forget football. I just want to go ahead and pursue this basketball thing. And then kind of sort of just, put all my energy and effort into the basketball and kind of sort of just took off from there.
Now, you guys won some city championships, right?
Yeah, we did. We won a public league championship at Bartram in 2003. I think it was my junior year, if I'm not mistaken. We beat Simon Gratz. And then my senior year, we actually lost in the Final Four as well to Gratz. That really killed me because I wanted to win it as a senior, but, it is what it is.
Two powerhouses, man.
Yeah.
Rasheed Wallace, you talked Simon Gratz, and so many great ball players have come in and out in Philadelphia. You played college ball, Wiley College. You played overseas. What was, did you have your pick of some of the colleges you wanted to go to, or was it just the best choice for you, the best fit at that time?
To be honest with you, that was just the best fit for me in terms of situation. And then also it was a thing where though I just need to like kind of sort of get away to grow up a little bit, if that makes any sense. And then just venture on my own. I felt like my whole life I kind of sort of surrounded myself with friends and kind of sort of did everything to kind of sort of make other people happy. So when it came to that, I was like, you know what? I got to be a little bit selfish, if that makes any sense. To be honest with you, I was never even supposed to go to Bartram for real, because academically I was a very, very good student. And I was like, you know what? I just want to be with my friends. So I just went to the neighborhood high school. But, when it came to college, I was like, you know what? Kind of got to do a little bit something selfish. So that's how that happened.
Was it, when guys grow up and they're running with the same circles, doesn't matter what area you're coming from, right? Whether it's the boroughs in New York, whether it's Camden in Jersey, whether it's Atlantic City in my backyard, whether it's parts of Miami where you are, parts of Philadelphia, everyone talks about the center, of their friendship in their childhood, and I guess the circle they're running with. I mean, were your friends supportive? Sometimes guys will be like, hey man, sometimes friends want to hold me back. Sometimes they want to grab on my ankles. They want me to go in a different direction. But obviously you're well spoken. You had a very good career in what you're doing outside of the game, which we'll get into. Were they supportive, or was it in some cases, sometimes it's tough to kind of break free and be your own man?
No, they were supportive. It was never like no hold back or no hate or anything like that. And they understood what was going on. Then also, I think that life took its course as well. So like sometimes when you grow up, you just grow apart for a second. If that makes any sense. I always knew at the end of the day they were my friends, and no matter if I went to Texas or even I went to California, I was going to come back to still be friends with my friends. But I had to do what I needed to do, and they loved everything that I wound up doing. And to be honest with you, I helped a few of my friends wind up getting into school down Texas because they went to separate schools and things didn't work out. They called me. It's like, hey, look, is there anything you could do? So I would think it was like 4 people that I got down there. So, I was able to open that door and kind of sort of create a pipeline to say the least.
That's what it's all about. You got to keep receipts on that, though. You got to
For
remind
sure.
them once in a while, right?
Nah, man, it is what it is.
Overseas, you played as well. What was that experience like for you? And did you have aspirations of playing pro ball in the U.S., playing for the G League or the NBA?
To be honest with you, I was just like every kid who ever picked the basketball up from the inner city. I wanted to make it to the NBA. My ultimate goal was to get to the NBA. I wanted to do whatever it took to get to the NBA. But if I'm being completely transparent, I didn't work hard enough to get to the NBA. I was a good basketball player, but I never worked on my game because I was just naturally good. But I didn't know what it was to, for an example, go to the park or to the local gym and shoot 1,000 jump shots. I didn't know what that was. And then also basketball training, it didn't exist. And, growing up. And then also my family probably couldn't afford it either because, we were just strapped for cash. But going overseas, that was amazing for me. The best part about it is the fact that I was able to live my dream and be a professional basketball player. I don't care if I was playing overseas NBA or whatever. I was a pro, and then also just the fact that I was able to experience other cultures, and people would just come up to me and just applaud me for me being a great athlete and asking my autograph. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, why are you asking me for my autograph? But I get it at the same time. So it was just a humbling experience, man. And I think everything happened the way it was supposed to.
Go back. You said that, you know, you, in so lack of a better term, you could have put more time in. You didn't want to put more because a lot of guys that just have naturally gifted ability, right? Sometimes they make it look effortless, and we're thinking, hey, man, are they running sprints? Are they running up and down the floor? Are they putting in 1,000 jump shots? Are they going back and forth? Are they using their left or using their right? Are they getting the cardio, the conditioning, lifting weights? Was it just that you relied on your natural God-given talents? Do you ever sit back and say, man, if I would have pushed myself a little more, maybe I could have taken it to another level?
To be honest with you, 100% of my game was just on my natural talent. I was able to handle the basketball really good. I got to the basket, no one could guard me, and I was a dog, a typical Philly guard, right? I was a dog. I didn't back down from anything or anyone. So now when I'm working with the youth and working with players who are trying to, make pro or live up to their basketball aspirations, I am pushing them so hard because I know what I didn't do. And I know where I lacked that, if that makes any sense. And I always say jokingly, but at the same time, a little bit serious, if I had it me, we wouldn't know each other right now. And the bank account would be a little bit different, to be honest with you. So that's just the truth. Like, if I had someone to push me to work on my game,
Yeah.
I'm
Hey, we
sure they
want we
told me
want this
different
is
stories.
listen, it's all about full transparency, man. Like uh you got to get this stuff out, right? And we always want brutally honest. I mean, that's one of the reasons I do what I do and I love it. And listen, I probably still would have hounded you even if you're banking. I probably had to go through a couple agents, right? And a
You
couple
probably.
lines of defense, but it is what it is. And you mentioned too that Philly dog, right? I always joke with my friends, there's that DOG, which is kind of like the lazy dog, and then there's the DAWG, which is the
Yeah.
nasty dog. That's the guy you want in the foxhole in the trenches. After your career, though, it's a lot of times players, athletes, they don't know when their career is over. But I feel as though you've always had a natural calling to give back to the community. Maybe it was already in your heart, in your mind, as you were playing, as you were maturing as a man and as a player, and that's what you're doing right now with your foundation.
Yeah, so as a kid, my parents, man, especially my father, like they always preached to me to be like a leader, right? Always be a leader, never be a follower, and just to be a good person. And as a kid, I always know kind of sort of I was like one of the leaders of my friends and people gravitated towards me. So, as I got through playing and made the decision to kind of sort of stop playing, it was like, you know what, let me do something that's going to give back to the community. And I started in Philly with this program, Books and Basketball, whereas I was just doing training on the court in Philly for free. So the way the program will work, say for example, we will work out for 15 minutes and then I would give them a water break. During the water break, I had books outside at the park that they had to read to promote, academic literacy. So after their water break was up, before they got back on the court, I made them tell me like, what was those few pages about that you read, if that makes any sense. So kind of sort of we're working on
Sure.
our academics as well as we're working on our basketball skills because in my neighborhood, academics wasn't a priority, to be honest with you.
Right.
Some people couldn't read. Unfortunately, maybe some parents couldn't even read. So it's kind of sort of like, let me teach these kids what it is to do both. And then also, I think a big part about that was I would even ask the parents to sit on the ground with the kids and read with them to kind of sort of create that bond and strengthen their bond. And heck, maybe even that would help strengthen those parents, reading skills as well too. So that's how this thing kind of sort of started, to be honest with you.
No, that's fascinating. Again, right? When you're playing on the streets in the blacktop and in the city, the only stats we're worried about is who's dogging who, right? At the end of the
That's it.
day, we don't need to read
That's it.
anything about that. But to your point with the kids, it's almost as though I'm keeping and I'm holding you accountable because I'm giving you an opportunity, learn how to play ball, but also understand education, schooling, and I'm going to quiz you. And if you're not ready, if you haven't read, then I'm gonna call you out on it, right?
For sure. For sure.
But
100%. So
were
for
the
me, it
kids
was like,
receptive with that? Were they receptive?
yeah, so the kids were receptive, and I think honestly the biggest thing is the older kids kind of sort of taught the younger kids what it was. It's okay to be a good student if that makes any sense. As
Yeah.
a kid, especially a younger kid, you're like a sponge. You're gonna soak up what you see an older person do. So some of the teenagers that I had out there, I kind of sort of put them to the side, like, look, I need you to take this a little bit serious because you got some young people looking up to you. And it kind of sort of, it just went well. I never had no kid rebel in an overall sense. Actually, you know what I did? Let me take that back. I did have one kid rebel, like, man, why we got to read books? And I'm like, what you mean? Why we got to read? So as I continue to talk to him, come to find out, he couldn't read.
Mm,
So him asking me that question, why we got to read books, that was just his defense mechanism.
sure.
Long story short, he kind of sort of increased his reading skills. Now I'm not going to say I'm the reason why he became better with reading, but I like to say, the program helped him, to be honest with you.
And so when you were in college and you're majoring your studies, I mean, obviously, if you're giving back to community, right, and you're trying to deal with youth or maybe misguided youth, there's that, sociological, psychological, it's almost as though you're trying to understand their mental capacity, maybe where they're thinking, but you can also rely on your own experience when you're sitting them down and say, hey, man, to some extent, I was right where you are, right? I mean, maybe not
Right.
on the same type of level or the same situation, but your background as far as college is what was that primary major for you that it seems as though this was a natural fit now doing what you're doing?
So when I went to college, I majored in sociology and I got my minor in psychology, and then I wound up getting my master's in counseling psychology. If I'm being transparent, the sociology part, I picked that because I was a really, really good student, but I didn't want to work hard academically because I wanted to make it to the NBA. So I was like, you know what? Let me do something that's going to be easy for me, where though I ain't got to stress, I ain't got to work hard for real. And that was that. And then also the psychology part came about because I was taking so many psych courses, it just made sense for me to get my minor in that. And then the counseling psychology piece, it was kind of sort of like I have a family of who worked in the social service field. Primarily, my mother, she had 25 plus years in the social service field,
Wow.
and I kind of sort of seen the work that she did in that particular community. So it was like, let me get into that. Number one, then number two, as an adult, thinking like, you know what, I got bills to pay, I need money. It was like the way I was taught in the psychology field. If you do what you need to do with a major in counseling psychology, you can make some good money. So
Yeah.
I said, you know what, I can go help people. I can make some good money. I think this might be the one for me. And then for me right now, as a professional, outside of basketball training, I serve as a psychology professor. I don't never feel like I'm working, to be honest with you. Like I always feel like it's just natural for me. The hardest part that I don't like is I got to grade papers and stuff like that. But other than that, like, everything is smooth sailing, to be honest with you.
Reese Wood, kind enough to join us this edition of You Never Freaking Played podcast with Q. Rich Quinones here. And that obviously everything led you down to Miami. I'm wondering if you look at today's climate, especially with the NBA and some of these players, we know that the NBA is I was just talking about it on my Middays with Q show earlier. It is a player driven league, man. Can you get in the head or the mind of some, like, what would you say to a player like Ja Morant?
John Morant is, keep your head down and let the outside noise be what it's going to be. Meaning, like, for example, the leisure activities, the club, the girls, the nonsense, that's going to be there, young brother. Like, forget about all that. Keep the main thing, and focus on your end goal. Like, what do you want your legacy to be? And once you figure that out, you know the route that you need to take. Now, granted, I'm not saying enjoy your life and enjoy all that money that you make, and I'm not saying that at all, but at the same time, don't over enjoy it, don't blow it, because there's some people who's been in some great situations who messed their situation up, right? So there, you have to learn from other people's mistakes sometimes. So if I could have a one-on-one to him, I would just encourage him just to learn from the mistakes that you've made so far. We can't get that back, right? But at the same time, know what you don't want to do again, and also kind of sort of create a new legacy for yourself, so you can be looked at in a positive eyes of people who are kind of sort of looking up to you.
Yeah, Monty Williams, you don't need to say anything. Just collect the 65 million left on the contract. But
That wasn't his fault though, man. I don't think he got a fair deal with that.
it's funny though, and I'll say this, and my only pushback on that was there was reports he really didn't want the job, but that's not a bad parting gift. I mean, he coached well with Phoenix. I just think it was a goofy situation. And then with Detroit, I think it's a poorly run franchise,
Yeah,
right?
I agree. I agree. It's like, it's like that old saying, right? What they say, I think Rome wasn't built in one day.
No,
If that makes any sense. Like, how do you expect Detroit to get turned around in one season with a bunch of young guys with no playoff experience? I don't even think they got a vet on that team,
no.
right? So it's like, how can you expect that man just to work wonders in one season? It don't work that way.
It's the NBA. They got one player to Kid Cunningham, and you're trying to build around him, right? And then conversely, it goes to now the Lakers with JJ Redick. And I mean, look, I get it. He was a talking head. He does the podcast. He's pretty, fastly removed from the game. Young guy, smart guy, knows the game. Maybe I'm nitpicking. Maybe I'm too old school, but your press conference, when you sit there and say, I don't give an F what anyone thinks. I mean, you are the head coach now of a famed franchise, the Los Angeles
Yeah.
Lakers. You need to project that, right? It's not because we're so enthralled and entrenched with the age of social media, give us that soundbite. But if you're JJ Redick, and I'm a cynic in this regard, man, it's a 4-year contract. Part of me is thinking once they're 10, 15 games under 500, LeBron's getting older, logging minutes, maybe they're struggling. I give it 2 seasons, but if you can pull JJ to the side, what's the advice? You're sticking him on the sofa. What are you telling him?
My advice to JJ is, live up to everything that you're expected to. Meaning, right? For example, some people will run away from the fact that I'm a first year head coach and LeBron has been doing this thing for forever. With no disrespect, all right, LeBron, fuck you. I'm running the show, right? You know what I mean? I'm not going to just verbally say that, but an alpha has to be an alpha at all times, and you have to embrace who you are and embrace this role and
Yeah.
what you've been hired for, right? You can't go into it kind of like shying away, and I'm not saying you will, but at the same time, it's like be sure of yourself. Lead from a place of experience, and also be okay with kind of sort of getting your hands dirty a little bit. So if I'm JJ Redick, some days I'm coming in practice with my practice gear on. And I'm going to practice with y'all just to kind of sort of, let you guys know I'm here for the long run and I want to lead by example and kind of sort of, do it from that way. And then also, don't be scared to ask questions. This is your first year doing this thing, right? Like you have no previous years
Right.
coaching. So it's like, great leaders, they still have the ability to learn. So it's kind of sort of like, be sure of you are, but at the same time, be humble enough to ask questions and learn.
Yeah, you're not coaching on a Saturday afternoon at the YMCA.
At all. It's a whole different
This,
animal.
yeah. Well, we saw the YMCA finish, right? You had the ankle breaker, but you missed the layup. Is the WNBA doing a bad job of, I guess you can say, backing Caitlan Clark? Or her teammates letting her down? Or is this, hey, you're a rookie, you're going to be targeted, much to do about nothing?
I think Caitlan Clark is in the best position possible, meaning, right? If Caitlan Clark was irrelevant and she wasn't as good as she was, we wouldn't even be talking about her, if that makes any sense, right? So I think the WNBA is doing a great job of marketing her. I think her team is not great yet, and everyone is still trying to adjust, and she's still trying to learn the game at the professional level. So I think she's in the best position possible. I think she's handling the media possible, and I think she's fucking awesome as a basketball player. Like that young lady's ability to score the ball, pass the ball, and has an extremely high basketball IQ. And then also, from my standpoint, she don't run from competition. That young lady is not shied away from no competition. So I feel like if she's continuing to keep doing what she's doing, she's going to grow. They're going to grow, and I do think eventually Indiana will put some other pieces around her, and they'll win a championship in a few years.
You grew up, you're a Philly guy, you're a Sixers fan.
No, I am biasedly though, because my guy Kyle Lowry is playing for them. But and it's nothing toward the Sixers. If
That
I'm
was
being
a
honest,
pregnant pause, man. I'm a Knicks fan, so it's okay. You can.
let me say this full disclaimer: I don't have a basketball team. I just like a good basketball game.
Fair enough.
I could care less who wins, but if one of my guys are on a particular team, I want my guys to win that ball game.
We know the game has changed dramatically from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s defense. It's watered down. It's a lot of offense. But I'll give you 2 players that just recently passed. Give me a word or two to describe them. Bill Walton,
Legend,
Jerry West.
one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah. The old school, they get those guys, right? It's the new school.
I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think the new school, like they know who Bill Walton is and they know who Jerry West is, but I don't think they know who Bill Walton is and they don't really know who Jerry West is, if that makes any sense. They never sat down and critiqued those guys and see those guys play the game of basketball. Because if they did, they would kind of sort of have more words to say about them, in my personal opinion.
Fair enough. I'll give you the last word with the foundation. Give me a little insight on that. If you want to plug anything on social media, how everyone can get involved as well in the community, go at it.
So with the foundation, with Reese Wood Foundation is pretty much is me running the basketball training service, to say the least, for boys and girls of all ages and all skill level, NBA, international, youth, high school, middle school, you name it, I do it. Obviously, I provide basketball, but we also service the community. Whereas though we go and we do book bag drives, we do Christmas drives, toy drives, and we feed the homeless during Thanksgiving times and things of that nature. Outside of the foundation, I recently started a girls travel basketball team called the Foundation Basketball. We've had 5 tournaments so far this summer. Right now, we have 3 first place trophies as well as 2 second place trophies. So we're pretty much doing solid with that. Starting in August, I will be venturing out doing a boys basketball travel piece as well, and just continue to grow and build. And right now, the biggest thing for me with the foundation and with Reese Wood Foundation is I just want the world just to know about who I am and what I'm capable of doing. And I just want to continue to service people all across the world. If anyone looking to follow us on social media, it's Reese Wood Foundation on Instagram. And then the girls travel program is the.foundation.basketball. And my website is reesewoodfoundation.com.
Hey, great stuff. I'm glad we got you on board for a couple of moments. I appreciate you jumping on board. You never freaking played podcast with Q, and best of luck. Enjoy that nice weather in Miami, and I'm sure we will be speaking very soon, my friend.
Thanks a lot, brother. It's not that nice right now. It's been raining on and off all day today, but
yeah, but then when you get that stretch of 85-degree weather over 20 days,
incredible.
You know?
It's incredible, man. It's no better feeling than going to like Walmart in January with shorts and flip flops on, and it's 90 degrees outside. While people in Philly,
we're shoveling, my friend. We're shoveling at that time.
Listen, man, I encourage everyone to make the move this way.
I appreciate a couple moments. Thank you.
No problem, brother. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Let me just record. Nice. Perfect. All right, man. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, man. When you get more time, like I said, man, I'll give you a little more context of what I'm doing, but I'm planning to get down there within the next couple months, and I'm going to be doing a lot of hoop stuff. But I got a couple other shows, man. We'll definitely get you on. We're doing we got a streaming network that's out in Tampa.
Sports Radio. What's the name of that?
Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game.
Okay.
So it's live internet radio. We got a relationship with the minor league hockey team. We got a relationship with the TBL. We got a relationship with the Orlando Predators of the AFL. So we're going to be doing a lot of live sports as well, man. Coming out, calling the games, producing the games. We got a guy to white label stuff. So I do Monday to Friday, that live. And then in addition, I do my other pods, this pod, and then I do a lot of boxing, blow by blow, and then a lot of basketball. So I'm trying to hook up with these guys with the SBA to get some more reps, but they're trying to work me in with some of the pro-ams down there. So
nice. I mean, if I could ever do anything to help, please let me know. I have a lot of contacts. So if you ever want, other guests, what some of my NBA clients or just
absolutely,
whatever you're looking for, if I can do it.
No, absolutely. And we'll put, no, that would be fantastic. And we'll put, I'll shoot you an email. And then, we can take your banner and put it on the website and cross promote.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. Well, I have your email. What I'll do is I'll text you my email address in about 10 minutes once I've stopped driving, so you can have it. And whenever you want to get, just let me know, and I'll reach out to all my clients for sure.
All right, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Look at that.
Will I be able to get a copy of our recording today?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna have the audio, and I'll post it up, and I'll send it to you. I put it on YouTube, but yeah, I can get you that stuff. Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ruth. All right, Reese. Take care, brother.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.